So today I'm interviewing Jules Muller, and she is the chief chick at Chicks Connect, and she is all about empowering women to be strong entrepreneurs. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jack. It's exciting to be here.
So I want to get into all this about Chicks Connect and everything because I think it's really positive for women, and I love entrepreneurialism, and I think what you're doing is great. But what I'd really like to start with is kind of at the beginning, like what got you into even your first experience at being an entrepreneur?
Oh, probably my very first experience at being an entrepreneur was when I was in grade school. And I created a bunch of arts and crafts and took them to school and sold them. So I made a pencil with some wild fuzzy hair, and you went like this and it freaked out and it became the frustration pencil. And then I made friendship pins. And, I was a top salesperson in, Bluebirds and all of that. So I think I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. I also had the spirit of wanting to be an actress or something in that field. And when it came time to graduate and actually go to college, I was encouraged to become a teacher and not pursue my dream of being Julie McCoy, your cruise line director, or anything to do with the cruise line, which is what I really thought that I wanted to do, whether it was on TV or just be a cruise line director. I loved travel,
and you loved
I
the show The
loved the
Love
show The
Boat,
Love
right?
Boat. And I thought,
Yeah.
well, I can organize these events. I could either be the movie star or just
Mhm.
be a cruise line director. And so then, I got caught up in, a 13-year stint in public education, every year trying something different, from elementary to middle to high school to leadership advisor. I got my master's in administration and became a principal, thinking that I
Mm.
was,
Wow.
looking for that right fit. And I always loved the students, I loved the staff and the parents, but I never felt like I was in the right place. And it
Mm.
wasn't until 2004 that I actually took the jump and started my own business. It was called Peace of Mind Organizing. And I just sat down
Mm.
and realized, what's my skill set? I at the time was a mother of twin 2-year-olds and just left education, and
Wow.
and realized that I'm really good at organizing. I'm good at getting things done. I'm kind of a taskmaster, and I have a logical brain, as well as a creative side too. So 10 o'clock at night on October 20th, on 2004, I Googled professional organizers. I found out there was an association. I joined, I picked my name, I got my business license, and I started
Mm.
organizing for people. So that's when I first started the actual the big money, not just the money from
So,
pencils.
so did this entrepreneurialism come from like your family? Did you grow up in like poor or rich or somewhere in between, or and how none of it just got passed down,
No,
huh?
both of my parents were teachers, so that's what got passed down, which was not the right fit for
Okay.
me. I did it, and I did it well, and I think it was a great foundation for what I'm doing today. But my
Mhm.
mother's father had the entrepreneurial spirit. I don't know if you know what a Jew's harp is. It's you twang, twang,
No.
twang. So Snoopy played
Okay.
them in his cartoons, and my grandpa, Tom Bilyeu, would travel all over the country and even went to Dollywood and got on stage and played the Jew's harp. And he would build those, like manufacture them and package them up and sell them. And he would travel all over and do that on his own. And my grandma helped with all keeping the books and doing that. So they were definitely entrepreneurs. And grandpa actually
Mm.
made the connection with Charles Schultz to have Snoopy use the juice harp in the cartoons as long as he could use the brand of Snoopy on his packaging. So that's kind of,
Ah.
I was always intrigued. I wanted to go on tour with Grandpa, and definitely had that entrepreneurial spirit that he had, but not in my
Yeah.
just extended fam, just my my nuclear family. There weren't any entrepreneurs.
Okay. So then you did the teacher bit, and teacher, I mean, just wasn't a right fit. And then you moved on to the organizer, and I understand you're good. You're really good at the organizing stuff, but it still wasn't your calling, right? It wasn't just totally speaking to you. And so what I often hear with entrepreneurs is it's when they're in a business that's not in alignment with like the real what they should be doing kind of soulful type experience that they get from being an entrepreneur, it either the business owns them or it just doesn't work. So what happened with
Well, I
you?
found with peace of mind that early on, so I did the organizing, the physical organizing, I created the systems, and then I wanted to hire someone right away, and I wanted to train them to go out and do the organizing. And so then I created a team of professional organizers, and that worked out great because I love to lead the
Mhm.
group. I didn't want to do the organizing anymore, the technical part. And I had a few clients that I continued to work with, but I realized I wanted to manage a team of people instead. And
Okay.
then I started researching productivity tools, and I became fascinated with the internet and wanted to learn, everything I could about that. And then I also learned about the coaching industry and realized that that was a better fit for me. So, peace of mind organizing was kind of a gateway to a lot, opening up my eyes to the entrepreneurial world, to networking, and me realizing that I am a natural connector, and what a glorious thing that was when I
Mhm.
really felt like I was at home. So like I said, I always felt uncomfortable in education, like I wasn't in the right spot. I was always trying to look for that next thing. But when I was out in the entrepreneurial world, meeting with other entrepreneurs and talking about exciting, innovative ideas and how we could solve these problems, that's when I came alive, and I realized that I wanted to make all these connections with other people that had similar, challenges and who might have solutions for them. And so coaching really became my passion. And I added in 2006,
Okay.
Now What, 90 Days to a New Life Direction coaching program by Laura Berman Fortgang. So that's kind of the next. I was still managing my organizing firm. I had people
Hmm.
going out and working, but I wasn't inspired by actually sorting and organizing someone's clutter anymore. So I moved out of that.
Right. So, okay. So you've had some entrepreneurial success early on with that kind of stuff, and as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you've had highs and lows. Can you tell us about some of the lows and some of the struggle that you've had to overcome?
Sure, sure. We, at the time when I had my kiddos and started my organizing business, my husband had some businesses as well. And we were up for a lighting contract, and it was to retrofit 3,000 energy efficient lights in the Fred Meyer distribution center called Kroger, and that was in Oregon. And we bid on that,
Mm.
and we got the bid. And so when you receive a
All
bid,
right.
it seems like a glorious day, and it's going to take care of so many problems that you created for yourself early on, financial problems, if in case any of you can relate. And so we had that, that bid, which was going to be a 3-month job, and he was to hire 12 people at a time when unemployment was really low. So the 12 people he had to hire were not coming from a pool that you might find today. They were coming from a pool of
Right.
very low
Yep.
unemployment rate. And he set out to do
Mm.
that job, very extensive, big job. And what was supposed to take 3 months took 5 and then 8 months. At the end of 5, we ran out of money completely. And so he had to finish the entire job on his own for the last 3 months. And by that time, his other business was struggling because he was attending to this, finishing up this. And I was dealing with creditors and just everyone and everything. We had 3 houses at the time. We had about 30 insurance policies. We had 2 golf cart businesses and the lighting company, and vehicles and trucks and trailers and golf carts, and equipment. And yeah, that's why I started my business, Peace of
Crazy,
Mind, because
crazy.
that's what I
Yeah.
wanted.
So much. So many different things. You're trying to keep all those
And
balls in the
twins,
air at
you
the
know,
same
and we
time.
had twins. Yeah, that
Yeah.
so that was not a fun time for us, and it was really hard on our relationship. You know, I was scared,
Mm.
and this was 2006, and it was at a time where we lived in Bend, Oregon at the time, and Bend was booming still. You know, it wasn't until 2008 that Bend really crashed, and so you know, we call ourselves
Mm.
leaders. You know, we like to lose everything before everyone else and
Yeah.
just pave the way for the rest of the economy. So, but it was, you know, I just kept realizing I'm a teacher by trade. So I knew I was going to share this experience and teach to someone. So I, you know, would get the kiddos to bed and I'd go outside and look up to God and ask him, you know, how much more do I need to endure and who am I going to be helping eventually? And, you know, I would just ask that, you know, over and over again and to just remain faithful that we were doing the next right thing, you know, that we didn't have
Hmm.
any sort of intentions of trying to take advantage of anyone. You know, we had created a real mess out of our businesses and our finances, and we wanted to do what was right, but we were so far in and so far under that there really was no solution other than bankruptcy at that time. So we lost those three businesses. And as a result of that, I was working quite a few jobs. So I had my peace of mind organizing, I had the coaching that I talked about. I started
Hmm.
as an employee of a company called Closet Factory because that was kind of a natural fit to what I was doing. So I would make sales commissions. I started a network marketing company called, I mean, I didn't start it, but I became a distributor called Send Out Cards. So I had four businesses that I was working as my husband was trying to work through all of this
Mm.
loss. Never saw my kiddos, didn't see my husband. And it was not how I envisioned entrepreneurialism, you know, that is entrepreneurship. It was uncomfortable and
Yeah.
painful and disastrous, you know.
So I met you. I met you. What was it? 2010 at an event in LA. Where were you with all this at that point?
Well, in 2009, I went to a send out card convention, and for those of you that don't know what send out cards is, it's network marketing. A big component of really great network
Mm.
marketing companies is personal growth and development. And they had a man named T. Harv Eker who wrote Secrets of the Millionaire Mind as one
Oh
of the
yeah.
keynote speakers
Mm.
at the send out card convention. And I'm fairly hyperactive and high energy. And when I saw this man speak I'm goosebumped right now just talking about it. But when I saw him speak on that stage, I said, whatever he's doing, I want to know more about it. I want to learn from him. I want him to
Mm.
be my mentor. And at the end of his presentation, he said that we could all go to a 2.5 day seminar. And I had never been to a personal growth and development seminar. I hadn't even watched Tony Robbins
Mm.
on YouTube. You know, I didn't know anything.
Really, you weren't one of those ones that bought all those series of tapes that he had when was it like late '80s with all the infomercials
None
and
of that. None of that. I was
no.
public education
Yeah.
trained. I had not an ounce of personal growth and development and not an ounce of seminar in me. And when I heard T. Harv
Mm.
Eker speak again, I felt like, okay, I'm home. Whatever this guy, I want more of him. And so we went down to San Francisco, and it was so funny because we didn't have extra money, and so we drove from Portland, Oregon to San Francisco, and we shared a room with another couple, and we brought all our food in a cooler, and we carpooled down there, and we just,
Mm.
you know, made it work, and we got this seminar for free. And during that seminar, it had such a profound effect on my life, but more importantly on my husband's life, because he was feeling horrible about the whole situation with the loss of everything, and he let down his family and, you know, things like that.
That can be just. I mean, it's the man. You know, usually has this role of this needing to provide. You know, needing to be that strong shoulder, and sometimes when you just get things like just the wind taken away from you, or your legs taken down from underneath you. It can be so. I'm speaking from personal experience here. I mean, it can be so devastating. So I can feel his pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, Jack, is, during that time, I mean, I felt so raw, and I was dealing with all the people calling and all the creditors and all the customers that wanted golf carts, and, he wasn't there to do the work, and the business was, struggling. Anyway, I was so wrapped up in my own fear that I was not very nice and understanding to him, because I was afraid and I wanted him to solve it. I wanted him to make it okay. And he was doing the best he could at the time, which was finish that job and figure out what the next steps are. But I was so, distressed and distraught and fearful and all of that. But it's so funny because when I would tell my story to someone, I was looking for them to say, "Oh, poor Julie," poor, and what they would say inevitably was, "Oh, poor TJ, that must be so hard for him." And I'm like, "No, don't you know how hard it is on me?"
Right. I'm the one. I got the little boys. I'm taking, yeah. Yeah, you're juggling all this stuff.
Now that I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, poor guy, and I wasn't as supportive as I could have been. And it was all because I was so based in fear. And there wasn't a lot of help, not a lot of support. There weren't programs out there that were saying, save your house, do this. They were saying, no, we're taking your house, we're taking your cars, we're taking everything, we're locking you out, we're going to steal your motorhome in the middle of the night with all your stuff in it. It was, I got, threatening calls from the repo man saying, you better get your tennis shoes, Julie, because you're going to be walking. I mean, just really horrible things. I'm like, I was a principal. Why are you repoing my car? It was a time that made no sense and was so difficult. But I was given some beautiful words of wisdom on the day that I thought that I was going to leave my husband, because I just couldn't. I was so distraught. This woman came up to me and said, she stuck her little finger in my face. She's like 86 years old. And she said, we don't run from our problems. We face our fears. We work through them. If you don't like him after this mess, then you leave him. You stick it out. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And that's when we got into motion and we really started figuring out the plan of how to lose everything and what did that look like. And, I divert a little bit, but during that seminar where we were sitting there together as a couple, still married, learning from these people and really diving deep into stuff that we'd never dealt with before or even talked about, my husband and I had a profound experience. And we said, what if we invest my education retirement on our own education from here forward and learn how to do it from the people that were successful in really doing what we're passionate about, And so at that point in time, we decided that even if we failed miserably, it would be good for our relationship.
Yeah.
So bottom line, to spend the 20 grand we did on his 2-year program, that's what we did. And we knew it would help us and our relationship. But we learned so much more. So at the time I met you, which was
on T. Harv Eckert's
yes, and that's
program.
called Peak Potentials.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so at the time I met you, I had already been learning from another mentor of mine that really deals with the business aspect of personal, and professional growth and development, where T. Harv does a lot of the inner game and your thought process and your mind. Bill Walsh really takes care of the how-to and the business end. And so between those two programs, and when I met you in 2010, I was on the verge of having this huge heart filled with so much. I knew there was something in me, and it wasn't my organizing business. I thought I'd franchise my organizing business in a box or something like that. But that wasn't feeling right. It didn't fit. And I knew I had something so fulfilling in my heart, but I didn't know what it was. And Barbara DeAngelis talks about a time in your life where you're, happy, sad, emotions are, roller coaster. You feel like you have so much to give, but then you retreat in fear, all of this whole angst that you have. And she named it. And when I understood the name, I was able to say, that's what I have. Now I can move through it. And she called that period in time divine discomfort. And I thought, that
Mm.
is so beautiful. That is what I have. It's okay. I'm about ready to step into my divine self. I am so prepped and ready to go.
Wow.
And within
I think,
like 4 weeks, out came Chicks Connect, and it was crazy. It was
yeah.
crazy.
I think we must have been going through similar things at the similar time because, yeah, I mean, beginning of 2010, the discomfort of my life was so intense that it changed everything. I think there's a real power in this discomfort that you're talking about. Yeah, I think it doesn't feel great necessarily at the time, but very powerful. Very when you're just so uncomfortable with the way things are, then you just have to change, and then I think the universe supports you in that, and it's kind of crazy. We met during that window because I didn't really know that much. I mean, we met, we spoke with a bunch of us. We had dinner, and there was a bunch of people there and all that stuff. But I've been following you a little bit on Facebook, and yeah, I just really admire what you're doing. I think that's wonderful. So tell us about this forming the Chicks Connect and how that started.
Well, like I said, it was probably October that I realized the divine discomfort, and it had such a powerful effect on me. I was driving, I had to pull over, and it was like a flood of tears. That time where I described prior to that. I felt like I was raw, and you probably experienced that too. But I felt like someone was taking.
Okay, so this is the beauty of entrepreneurship and being creative. So now we're back, and you're in your car, and hopefully I can make this all work and splice this all together and. Have it come out well.
And I'll remind everyone that although it's February, I'm in Florida and it's probably about 80 degrees. So if I start dripping, maybe you can edit that out as well.
I don't know how good I am at that kind of stuff, but I am a little jealous. I mean, it's only 65 here in California. But hey, the rest of the country is in a deep freeze. So where were we when we got cut off so rudely, interrupted by the internet gods?
I know. Well, I think we were talking about just my journey to personal growth and development when you and I met, kind of being raw, both of us kind of experiencing a lot of that pain and angst and really wanting to do something, but not knowing what it is, and you had asked how Chicks Connect came to be. So I can start there if that's good for you.
Yeah. So did you? I mean, were you moved out and you're living and now you're traveling in this RV and you're on this like adventure thing? I mean, did that happen before the Chicks Connect or after? Yeah. Okay. So I didn't want to rush you through your story. So Chicks Connect. So you're. How did that start?
My husband was then looking for a new job and was able to secure a job in Washington, just over the border, which is very close to Portland, Oregon. And we were in Bend, Oregon, which is about, 4 hours from the border to Washington. So he was working on that job. And again, we were in Bend, 4 hours away from him. And one day in December, I just said, forget it. We're moving to Portland. So I had to recreate my network. I needed to start all over again and share my entrepreneurial path with other people that in the Portland area knew me as a teacher, which is a totally different type of connection than, an entrepreneur. They aren't at networking groups and things like that. So I started going to networking groups in Portland, Oregon, and realized that I loved bringing people together. Meetup.com had been created, and so I started using Meetup and scheduling kind of dream board parties and potlucks, and we'd have people over to our house. And And then one day I thought, my best form of networking back in Bend was when I gathered women together and we met over coffee. And so I just said, I scheduled an Evite, I think. I said, let's call it, Chicks in Business. Let's invite a few women. I came to the meeting with an agenda. I only knew 3 of the women there, and we, all shared what we do for our business. And then we had a little lesson. So I taught them a lesson on identifying their ideal client. And then we went around with accountability check-in and asking for help. And I said, I really want to know how we can help and support you in your personal life as well as your professional life. And that just stumped them. They, women are used to taking care of everyone else and sometimes putting themselves last on the list. And so to be asked by especially another woman, how can we support you and celebrate you and hold you up? And, they were, still kind of focusing on business, but then they got the hang of it, and so one of them said, well, I'm newly divorced, my kids are grown and gone, and I'm lonely. I want to have fun. I don't know how to meet women on a social basis. And so I said, great, let's create the Fun Chicks. And so the Fun Chicks were in charge of creating fun ideas and activities. And the next woman said, well, my son is 14. He's causing me all sorts of trouble. Another woman said, well, mine's 22. I've been there. I've done that. Let's chat after the meeting. I said, great, a chick chat, so then it's kind of like a one-on-one if you compare it to BNI. And then another woman said, I want to read for pleasure. Another one said, I'd really love to start exercising. And the synergy and the excitement throughout the group was just amazing. And they all wanted to help each other and support each other in that personal realm. And then we also did the business. And then they said, can we do this again next week? Sure. So brought women together in a different location. Different women showed up. And during the middle of the group, like no idea why or how, I opened my mouth and I said, I need a new chair chick for this group. I need to leave this group and open this up worldwide. Who would like to take over? And a woman shot up her hand and said, I'm Linda Rutledge. I'm a financial planner with MetLife, and I want to chair this chapter. I'm in Toastmasters. I'd make an excellent chair chick. Everyone say,
Okay. Hold up. So where'd this come from? You said this is shot out of the blue. You hadn't you thought about it?
I had
just
4 jobs, Jack. I was doing 4 things. I was selling closets for Closet Factory. I was organizing. I had a team of 100 distributors for send out cards. I was training them. I was not looking for another business opportunity, but I had to be doing all those businesses to feed my family, I was passionate about what I was doing, but it wasn't my it. It wasn't the thing that I was made to be doing. And, I honestly, I had to catch up spiritually to my journey. I didn't grow up in a family that was religious or even really spiritual, very good people, but we didn't attend church. I didn't have a real close connection with God. And I never got the messaging that God put us all here on this earth. We all have special gifts. I didn't learn that until a little bit later in life. And so the part that I had to catch up with in my entrepreneurial path with Chicks Connect was not the logistical, mechanical, how to create a business. It was, how do I fit into these shoes that God has in store for me and become more spiritually connected? I didn't doubt that I could do it. I knew I could do the mechanics of this business, and make it so valuable to these women. But why me? It's like, where did that come from? And that whole universe and spiritual connection to something bigger than myself was the heart. It is and was my journey of challenge.
And I think that's just so powerful, because I look at these entrepreneurs and they come to me and they say, oh, I have this business idea, and I'm like, well, does that business idea, does that fulfill you? Does that help you feel this spiritual connection, and are you doing what you're here to do? And no, I just think we could do this and we could make some quick money. So okay, you can go over here to make the money so that you can get where you want to go. Why don't you just go directly to on the path that you want to go? So I think that's just a big point that you made there. You know, it's like when you figure that out, when it starts to just feel in this place a really soulful type of experience, I think that's really powerful, because it does take a lot of love to get a business going. You know, if you love your business is going to love you back. And most people don't look at that love or that spiritual aspect when they're looking at their business. I think women, and I think this is something that you're onto, they're much more in tune than that, I think, than men are.
And, you know, I think I was at an event, you know, a similar event to where I met you. I was there just helping out the back table in Las Vegas a couple months ago. And, you know, I was checking people in and asking them, you know, oh, what are you all about? You know, tell me what's going on in your life. And you know, the majority of people had a real strong message of something that was providing value to other people. You know, oh, I'm really passionate about this and I want to help people do this. And the majority of the people there were that way. But there was one man who said, I just want to make a lot of money. And I thought, I'm not going to buy what you're selling. You know, I was like, I have no connection to you as a result of that. And he might make a lot of money right up front. And you know, you and I were kind of chatting about this before. Is like, you know, if you're driven by money, there's going to become a point where you know, where your business idea, you know, you've made enough money. You know, you have everything you want and need, and so you're not passionate about providing that service or product anymore. And then what? You know, so you know, I think everyone's driven by a different motivation, but there's something really cool about when you are in alignment with who you are meant to be and doing what you're meant to be doing, and it's natural. It's awesome, you know. And I'll go ahead. I can talk a lot.
Yeah, I know we could have a whole talk about just this. But how long before you moved into your mobile home after you got the idea about Chicks Connect? So, I mean, you moved into this motorhome, and I mean, with 2 kids, your husband.
Yes.
What do you have, a dog or something too?
Also.
I bet. Yeah. I mean, how big is this?
It's 32 feet. It doesn't have any slide outs at all, and it's a 1998 Rexall Airbus. And I will voice right now, live on this recording, that my dream RV is a Road Warrior 390. So any of you that are listening and want to look that up, that will be the thing that I'll be able to live in for the rest of my life. I just need to kind of double my membership, and then we'll be able to get that. But for right now, we are in it's right around 300 square feet, like 320 square feet. We went from 3,000 square feet to 320 square feet.
Right. And you move about every 14 days, right?
Yeah.
You're going around, you're starting your chapters, and So how long was it?
So we started Chicks Connect November 10th, 2011, and we hit the road. We bought our RV February 25th, 2012. And I knew that we were going, like, the vision came. I'm telling you, when you're in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing, you get messages from universe, from God, whatever you believe in, and the doors open up, and it's very clear. It's, you know, I got a clear message in January of that year that I was to quit working at the closet factory, which was, you know, paying for the rent in our home, and start and get in a motorhome and tour the U.S. and meet the women face to face. I had no idea how I was going to do that. We didn't have a savings anymore. We didn't even have a retirement anymore. We didn't have any means of doing that. And I mentioned that to my mom and sisters at a luncheon that we had. And, you know, my sister's like, well, you just have to save up, maybe a couple years from now. And I'm, nope, it's supposed to be now. I don't know how, but it's supposed to be now.
Mm-hmm. Life's a now business. And, that's what I always say.
Perfect timing, because the kiddos were just finishing up 5th grade. They would have entered middle school, and, you know, I wouldn't have ever been able to pull them out of that, you know. So,
right. So you're homeschooling too.
Yeah. So So anyway, my mom came to the house after that lunch, and my mom is just a beautiful woman, just quiet, kind of behind the scenes, can get a lot done. She was a librarian. She's like, just smarter than a whip, but flies under the radar, not overdone like me, like outgoing. She's just very, just an amazing woman. But she came to the house, knocked on the door, opened the door, and I'm like, oh, Mom, and she's like, when your grandma passed, she left $20,000 for each of you girls. And I talked to the other girls, and I'm going to give them their money right now, and you can have your money right now so you can buy your rig. And I was like, whoa, and the rig we wanted was 21,000. I said, we should look one more place, see if we can find something for under that amount. We found a new rig for 16, 7, 8, and we bought it. And it's just like every door opens, and I had no idea that money was there, and no intention that anybody in my family would ever give it to me, and so it's been a wild ride. And the membership, we're now on our 3rd year, and we're about 200 members right now, and we have 100 women that are interested in launching chapters of their own, or they currently are a chapter leader. So we're just gonna keep going.
That's awesome. So before you melt, so we can cut this short because I'm sure you're baking in that car right now. Can you tell me a success story about one of your people and your one of your highly empowered chicks?
We had a woman that she'll tell the story. She's like, I didn't like women. I wouldn't trust women. The last thing I'd want to do is go to some sort of women's event, and her friend that she was living with at the time said, you really need to come check this out. It's different. It's not like anything you've ever gone to before. Just give it a try, come once or twice. And so she came, and she was kind of negative, and she shared, like it's a very structured organization that we have, but there's also a lot of room for, flexibility and stuff. And she shared, and then by the second time, then the third time, she's like, well, I want to join this. I'm still not sure, but I want to join, and she was really kind of hard about it. Then she joined. Then she didn't have a business yet. And they said, okay, by October 4th, we want you to pick something, anything. We don't care what it is, just pick something. She decided on something by October 4th. And by that day, she had her business license, she had her logo, she had her brand, she started her business. And, through her journey over the last couple of years, she, cries to this day, sharing that she used to have the messaging that she didn't like women and that she couldn't trust women, and how beautiful her sister chicks have been to her, and so loving and supportive and celebrating her success. They had a whole day dedicated to her just to celebrate her and her courage for stepping outside of her comfort zone and taking on this new business venture, and so that's what it's all about. It's about really celebrating our brilliance and like you mentioned, love. They're part of our foundation of Chicks Connect is love. And we say that right out there, and all of our activities are based around, loving yourself first so that you can love everyone else. And a lot of people don't have that yet, so it's an important aspect.
Yeah. That's the thing about putting on your own mask first. The plane's going down, you put on your own mask first, and then you help your children. You got to help yourself first, else you're not good to anybody else. So, all right, so with the Chicks Connect, now, if there's not a chapter in their area, it's still, you get a lot of stuff online, right? I mean, there's a lot of support that the women that you give online.
Right. Well, everything's available.
Like
we have a protected area for the membership site, and all of our content from the very first lesson we ever created is on there. So 2011, 12, 13, and now 14, all of the content is on there. We have webinars and teleseminars. We have tons of online Facebook groups. So if you have an interest in being part of our Chicks book club, we have Chicks and Books, we have Video Chicks, we have Author Chicks. And then we have just a bunch of interest groups that range from fashionista chicks to cycling chicks, to healthy chicks, mommy chicks, all sorts of ways to connect that way. And we help you launch your own chapter. So, women have stepped up in these leadership roles and they're like, well, I've never even, led a group before. And it's okay. As long as you can read, you can facilitate one of these chapters because we provide everything for you. You just find the location, bring the beautiful women together, and follow the format. And it's a done for you product.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I'll put the link in the description or on the screen or somewhere that somebody can go and check out Chicks Connect. And I just got to commend you on what you're doing, and I love watching you rise up and making this thing happen.
Well, like you mentioned, a lot of faith, a lot of love, and just a ton of support from my family. Not too many husbands would be the chauffeur of the rig, driving us around the country, sharing this movement. So I'm very blessed for my family, and my boys have been, they're 12 years old, and that could be a real trying time. And they're right there, as support to me as well. And then people like you, Jack, I just appreciate this opportunity and your belief in me. It's people like you that keep me going because you see me doing it and you encourage me. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, keep going. You rock on.